Rev up your engines!
Well, here's something that I can't even believe that the Toyota dealer's telling us. Elizabeth Castellanos sends me an email and says, hey, thanks for your advice about a 2022 Dodge Challenger. Dodge settled my case, not for what I wanted, but I got rid of the stupid thing. We ended up buying a 2020 Toyota 4Runner. I noticed when I get to a car wash, water comes through the sunroof. I took the car to the dealership, and they say they changed the sunroof, but not the seal on the car. The problem is still happening, and Toyota now says they confirmed with a newer 4Runner that this is normal. What do you think? I think they're full of crap. Sunroofs aren't supposed to drip water on you, right? This is not normal. Maybe it is normal for the models that they're making because they're not making them as good, but at least you got rid of the Dodge Challenger. You saw that was a pile of crap, and you got rid of it. Dodge had to pay you money for lemon stuff, but not what you wanted, but at least you got out of the stupid thing before it fell apart, right? Even though it was a 2022, not very old, right? Less than a year old, right? It's falling apart. The Toyota dealers are notorious. The Americans are just lying to people. Oh, yeah, we checked it out. No, we're not sorry. And then they said, well, we replaced the sunroof, but not the seal, right? I can guarantee you, they didn't even change the sunroof. That's a big, gigantic job. And the reason they said they didn't change the seal is because you can see the seal when you look up, right? And you could probably see it's not a new seal. So they probably lied to you and said, well, we changed the sunroof, but not the seal. Why would they go through all the trouble of replacing the whole sunroof, which is a very complex, expensive endeavor, and not replace the seal that's in there while they were doing the job, right? In other words, they probably did zip, nada. They did nothing and then said, yeah, it's normal that they leak. They just love lying to people, telling you, that's normal. Well, maybe it's normal that some of them leak, but they're not supposed to. That means they're not made right. There are drains in the sunroofs that when it rains, yes, the seal is not perfect. No car has a perfect sunroof seal. They all have 2 drain holes in the front, 2 drain holes in the back. So the water that does get by the sunroof seal goes through the drain holes and drains out. And those clowns didn't even clean them out. All they had to do is get some fishing line or metal cable, feed it through the drain holes, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, then any water that gets in will drain out and won't drip down on you. It amazes me the stupidity of these dealerships, or the laziness. They just don't care, and then they just flat out lie, nah, that's normal, go away. I'm sure they did not change your sunroof. If you're going to change the sunroof, you change the seal. And they said, well, we didn't change the seal, but we changed the sunroof. Baloney. The seal's the cheapest part. You're going to change that, but you can see that, so you can see, well, that's still the old one. So, well, we changed the inside parts, but we left the seal. Makes no sense. The whole thing sounds ridiculous. Well, another politician's at it, a guy by the name of Manchin. He's slamming the Treasury Department because they're delaying these tax credits for electric vehicles. Because, as he says, they're making too many loopholes. They're making this law, and I quote, bending to the desires of the companies looking for loopholes. Now, this is for a $3,750 tax rebate if you buy an electric vehicle, where and I quote, lawyers are involved in this. Majority of manufacturing value comes from North America. What the heck does that mean? Oh, the lawyers are going to go wild on this one, right? And an additional $3,750 credit for batteries that have 40% of its mineral values mined or processed in countries that have a free trade agreement with the U.S. Talk about legalese nonsense. So they're all arguing about this or that. And he said, oh, you guys are dragging your feet to get it. Well, here's something that I find absurd because the entire situation is patently absurd. We don't have enough electrical generation to charge these things. We don't have enough infrastructure to send the power if we even had the power plants building it, which we don't. We don't have the charging stations that would take it, but then we'd have to have the wiring and the power plants, which also don't exist. But the government thinks we'll give people a tax rebate and they'll buy these electric cars, right? But there's no infrastructure. And of course, now they're all saying, we're going to build back America's infrastructure, right? Okay, who's going to pay for this? If they're giving tax rebate for people to buy these stupid electric vehicles, but then there's no infrastructure for that, and they're going to build the infrastructure back, they just gave away a bunch of their tax dollars for people to buy cars that use an infrastructure that has to be rebuilt. That's really kind of total absurdity. They're standing on their heads. They're totally upside down. They're saying, well, we'll give tax dollars to people so they buy electric cars. Where's the money going to come from to build the electric infrastructure that doesn't exist? Well, we're not getting the tax money because we gave it back to them to buy the stupid car. Talk about putting the cart before the horse. Normally, a horse pulls a cart, right? So, if you put the cart in front of the horse, it doesn't work all that well. Horses don't push very good with their heads, right? But this is a total example of that. Well, we'll give people the tax dollars back. They'll buy these electric cars, but we got to build that infrastructure back. They don't know one side from the other. One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. It's all confusing. And then one politician complains, we're not giving us tax dollars back fast enough. Does anybody look at the overall picture of what's going on? It's like the Three Stooges have taken over America. Mr. Wayne says, should I buy an extended warranty? Longtime viewer, I got a 16 Chevy Suburban. I got it new. I purchased extended warranty for $1,500. I used it one time recently to cover the front. Mag ride shock was leaking. It saved me about $1,200. Vehicle now is 51,000 miles. The extended warranty expires January 2023. Should I purchase another extended warranty or save $500 and all for the next year each month to cover future issues? You don't have that many miles on it, but basically it shows you how crappy those mag ride things are. Jeez, you know, the thing only had 50,000 miles on it and they went out. Most shocks should last a lot longer than that. If it still covers the same stuff, I hate warranties, but in your case, it's probably worthwhile if it's still going to cover all that stuff because they're all going to break on that thing. It's a 16 Suburban. I would not buy a modern GM product. They don't have quality control on them. And 2016 is modern enough that they get a lot of problems as they age. So I normally hate those things, but you save money on that. If it covers your transmission and engine, I'd say go ahead and buy the warranty. They paid for it then. Now, you have to trust them. All right, maybe your trainee goes out and they'll say, well, we're not covering that. Then you're screwed. Get it in writing and it covers the transmission and engine and all this stuff. And if so, I would never bought the vehicle in the first place. And I normally don't believe in extended warranties. But in that case, you made it out okay. And I'd say go ahead and do it again if you want to keep that vehicle any length of time because it's going to have big repairs in the future. Mo said, Scotty, I want to change my GX460 fans to be electric to get better power. Your advice? My advice is don't waste your time. The amount of power that a non-electric fan uses is not much at all. I mean, you got electric fans, you're still running electricity. The alternator's got to power it. That takes energy to power that. And the fans are somewhat inefficient, so they lose power through heat and stuff. So I wouldn't waste my time with something like that. You know, on a race car, they want to get the least weight and use most of the power for running the wheels and nothing else. So yeah. But on a race car, you don't even need a fan because you're going 150, 200 miles an hour, and there's plenty of wind to cool the car without any fans blowing anything. So I'd say leave it alone. What you would gain, you wouldn't even recognize driving out. You could not feel the difference. You just couldn't. It wouldn't make that much difference at all. Well, to show you the relative uselessness of long-distance traveling on electric motorcycles, I'll talk about this YouTuber, calls himself Mark Travels. He says he's going around the world in his electric motorcycle. Around the world, right? Now, it's bad enough their range isn't that far for electric motorcycles to begin with, but if you're in the city, you might be able to find a charger or you could park it somewhere, take a bus to finish your way or an Uber or something, right? But this guy's going around the world in his electric motorcycle. Now, obviously, he has a lot of spare time on his hand because the world record of going around the world on a motorcycle is held by the guy named Sanders. He used the Yamaha R1, obviously a gasoline-powered motorcycle, and it took him 19 days and 2 hours to do the trip, right? I did the math, and the range that this electric motorcycle that this Mark Travelers guy has, if it was perfection and he didn't get stuck anywhere, a limited range on his electric motorcycle, it'd take him 156 days. Now, a far cry from 19 days. This guy obviously has time on his hands, right? Hopefully he's making enough money on his YouTube channel to make it full time so he doesn't have to worry about making money and paying for the stuff, right? But that just shows you the farce of traveling long distance on motorcycles. And this guy's going by the speed limit, and he even found out himself, of course, what they say the range is versus what the actual range is. Depends on so many things. That if he's up in the Alps and he goes up and down, he's going to lose a certain amount of power by the temperature change, the pressure changes, whether he's going downhill, whether he's going uphill. You know, your range thing is assuming you're doing the same amount of power the whole time. If you're going up a mountain, guess what? You're going to use a lot more power going up a mountain. So you're going to spend even more energy. If the world record holder did it in 19 days and the best he could do in all perfect conditions be 159 days, I've seen these guys on motorcycles go around the world, watch their videos, right? They're in the middle of the desert. They're in the middle of nowhere. Hey, this guy's not going to get any battery charged up in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. Maybe he'll just be stranded forever, and we'll never hear from him again like some South Pole explorer from the last century. But it just goes to show, electric motorcycles, no, they can be inner city toy. Guys that want to go fast for a very short period of time, because the faster you go, the more you lose power. I tried out one of these electric motorcycles. If I was driving at like 80, 90 miles an hour, geez, the thing would run out of power in like less than an hour. This is the faster an electric motor spins, the less efficient it is. So the higher speed you're going at, the more you're going to use power up. In the cities, you're going slower, plus they have regenerative brakes, you regenerate some of it. For actual traveling long distances, electric motorcycles are pretty much a joke. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.